You actually believe that in the beginning of this week I was wearing shorts, and now at the end of the week I am wearing chuff-ass pants, like winter fucking pants. It's unbelievable. Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Katarina and welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to bring to you my May, is it May already? I think so, yeah, my May wrap-up. So if you've been on my channel throughout the month, you probably know most of the things that I have read because, as I've told you, I was reading the GRISHA for the first time this year. So in March I read the GRISHA trilogy, and now in May I read the Six of Crows duology and King of Scars. So most of my wrap-up are going to be those three books, which I'm not going to talk a lot about because if you have seen my recent videos, I have 3 spoilery filled vlogs of my reactions to Six of Crows and to King of Scars, so I am not going to talk a lot about it. But I have another book that I read in the month of May, which was really special for me to read. I really enjoyed it, and I want to talk to you a little bit about it. And I wanted to tell you what I'm currently reading, since I started a book in the month of May that I actually haven't finished. So it's my currently read, you know. We're already in June. This is getting problematic. So as I said, the first 2 things that I've read in the month of May were Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. These are the books that comprise the Six of Crows duology, and these were amazing. As you probably know if you've seen my March wrap-up, I absolutely loved the GRISHA trilogy, but of course, I love the Six of Crows duology even more. Everyone told me that I was going to love this. I was afraid of the hype, but I had no reason to be. This is great, amazing, I absolutely love it, and I was in love with all of the characters, with all of the dynamics between them, with all of their problems, their backgrounds, with the plot by itself. I absolutely love these books, and I don't think that I've ever seen YA fantasy written as well as this was. In every sense of the word. I was very traumatized by Crooked Kingdom. I was really on the edge of my seat in Six of Crows. I really, truly love both of these books. I have nothing else to say that I haven't told you in my vlogs, and pretty much everyone else has already read Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom, and King of Scars. So you can pretty much go and watch those vlogs and see my opinion on the subject. But yes, did I say that I love them? Because I absolutely do. Next book that I read in May, as I told you, was King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. So this is the beginning of the Nikolai duology, which, if you don't know anything about the GRISHA, you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I cannot for the life of me give you the plot of this book if you haven't read the GRISHA trilogy or the Six of Crows duology, because it will spoil those 5 books for you. So bear that in mind, that this is sort of a direct sequel, so you have to have read the GRISHA trilogy and the Six of Crows duology in order to read this. So this is basically surrounding the characters of those series. The characters are doing different stuff. I cannot talk a lot about this. This is about Nikolai, our prince Nikolai, and his struggles to uphold the kingdom without war. And it's funny, but it wasn't the best book that I've ever read that Leigh Bardugo wrote, which for me was really sad, because when you love something so much as the GRISHA trilogy, and then you read something as the Six of Crows duology, which is even better, you think that the author can only do right after that. So in the progressive of the writing, she will have to get progressively better, which in my opinion was not the case. I can see that she tried to plug stuff from Six of Crows for this one, and from The Shadow and Bone for this one, but they did not work as well as in Six of Crows or as well as in the GRISHA trilogy. So I feel like something was missing in this one, which is kind of sad, because the characters that were there were some of my favorite. I really enjoyed them, but there was this part, the beginning was pretty cool. The ending was really fun and was really dramatic, and a point where the kingdom, shit is already happening in the kingdom, because it's the GRISHA, of course, stuff is going wrong before going right. But there was this part in the middle where I cannot say anything because I will spoil you, but a lot of things that contradicted the supposed consents of the magic system happened. And well, for me it's okay, because it's like, if Leigh Bardugo created this magic system and she decided this was valid, who am I, because I'm not the author, to tell you that this is not valid for this magic system? But at the same time, it's like, so everything that we know is a lie. And of course, some of our characters had to be faced with this truth. But at the same time, it's like, but really? Or are we just doing this to be a god ex machina type of situation? Because it kind of seems like we are, and I don't particularly enjoy it. So that was my problem. The characters were great, but there was that whole plot device problem that I didn't really enjoy. But I mean, it's fine. People have different opinions, and I know that some people love this, although I know a lot of people that were disappointed by this, but this just makes me want to read the second volume of this duology even faster. I don't know when that's going to come out, probably next year, I'm not sure. But I still have Ninth House in October, and I am so very excited for that, because Leigh Bardugo writing an adult novel about necromancy and secret societies, I think, is going to be great. So yeah, that was that. So the other book that I read in May, I'm always forgetting that it's already June, so I'm doing my May wrap-up, you know, it's really strange. So the other book that I read and completed in May was The Snow Queen, and this actually has 2 volumes. This is by Joanne de Vinge, which I believe she should be French, I think, or Belgian or something. Probably French. I have no fucking idea. I am a stupid person. But as I was saying, in Portugal, these editions were published separately, but they are the same book. So basically this is a 400 and something page book, and this is a sci-fi book, which, if you know me, I am a very, very gigantic reader of fantasy, but you have not seen a lot of sci-fi on this channel, and it will be very difficult for me to actually show you because I do not have the knowledge about sci-fi books. I have never read heavy sci-fi. I have read classics like The Time Machine, but not a lot of sci-fi. I've read like, what, 2 or 3 sci-fi books, including this one, so you can see that my knowledge about sci-fi is not great. Which is why I was pleasantly surprised about the fact that I understood every single thing, or almost every single thing, of the plot of this book. So, basically, I have to say, first of all, that this book was published in 1980, so it's old as fuck. And in the year that it was published, it won the Hugo Award, which, if you don't know, the Hugo Award is one of the most prestigious awards of science fiction. So if a book is great and if it represents the science fiction genre, it should win the Hugo Award. And I don't know why I'm out of focus. So for that reason, when I went into this, I thought, okay, so this is going to be a great book because, of course, it's a prize winner, but it's going to be so hard to read that I'm not going to enjoy it. And my boyfriend was the one that got this for me because I believe that he had this book in his house and he was like, you have to read this because I read this, I loved it, and you're going to love it. And I was like, I'm not because this is sci-fi, it's not fantasy. It's going to be very hard for me. But I did love it. Why? Because although it is sci-fi, and it has some technicalities and some technologies and some space plots involved, and it's heavy sci-fi in the way of the laws of science fiction, the plot of it and the characters of it were so well made and so well developed that you were always worried about them and always wanted the plot to press forward. So first of all, let me say what I thought was missing in these books, and then I will just praise them because I love it so much. So the first thing that I feel like was a problem in this book was the concept of time, because pretty much you were following the perspective, so this is in third person, but you were following different perspectives throughout the entire book of the main characters. And the thing about the different perspectives is sometimes from one perspective to another, or from the same perspective to the same perspective, years would pass and you would not know about it. And then you would read the plot and you would be like, wait, but wasn't this like this? How is this like this? And you would have to understand throughout the cues that were given to you in dialogue that years had passed, which well, it's a thing. Time is a concept, a very hard concept to grasp in science fiction, but I feel like we could just be told that the years had passed in some way, but we are forced to understand that in our own, we're kind of left in our own to understand, which is something that I really enjoy because I don't consider myself dumb. And I know that I can understand stuff without it being completely splatter on the page. So, in one hand, I really enjoy the fact that Joanne the Vinge was not trying to tell the reader that the reader was dumb, and was actually telling the reader, you can get this. You just have to look for the cues. But for the other hand, I feel like for people that are not used to ancient sci-fi and to high sci-fi and hard sci-fi, would have some difficulties, as I had in the beginning, to adjust. But after the beginning, everything was just so great. So what is the plot of this book, you ask? Because I'm saying it's great, but I have not told you what it is about, and it's possible that you do not know. So the plot of this book is called The Snow Queen, so we are seeing here. But basically, this is about this world that is divided into two species of people, let's just say. Then it has a lot of aliens and other species, which is a point in favor of this because for the year it was written, it has so much diversity. I do believe that there are non-binary characters, although not explained as being non-binary because at that time that concept was not known. And there are, I believe, gay couples as well in here, but not determinedly explained, if you know what I mean. So there's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of people of color as well in this. Most of the people are people of color, except for the Snow Queen, because Snow Queen, she's white, you know. But apart from that, it's great for diversity. But as I was saying, this is basically a world that is divided between two types of the human race, which is the winter people and the summer people. And they have specific names, but because I read this in Portuguese, I do not want to butcher that translation. So that's how I'm going to call them. And basically, the winter people have reigned under the same queen in 150 years. So they are the people that have technology, that accept the changes of the world, but they're also the people that are very corrupted by the use of the power and technology and the knowing of the stuff. And then there's the summer people that are like fishermen and people that believe in goddesses and gods and high priestess and that are more simple, not stupid, but simple in a way of living and that hate technology and the power that it brings because they feel like it will corrupt their society, as it did with the winter people. But the thing in here is that the Snow Queen, so this planet, in order to survive in so many years, something happens where the winter is replaced by the summer. So the winter queen is killed and the summer people choose a new queen and they reign. So they destroy everything that is technology and power and the knowing, and they rule in simple ways and they create a world of their own. So the time of winter is almost gone, and the Snow Queen, because she does not want to die and she wants to reign forever with the power that she has gained throughout the years, she decides to hire a doctor to, in a festivity, implant summer women with Snow Queen clones. So they will give birth to clones of the Snow Queen. And one of the clones survives this experience. And that clone is one of the perspectives that we follow. This is not a spoiler. And we follow the Snow Queen. And she has a plan for that clone to actually be erased by those summer people and then come to her and rule with her in a way that she will not have to die and to fall from grace. So she's a little bit evil, the Snow Queen. You start hating her, but then by the end you see that she's human and that you're not supposed to hate her, and you actually don't hate her, you pity her, which is a character development in itself, because you're supposed to hate the villain, but you don't. And is she the villain, or is she just a normal person? You know what I mean? And you follow her clone, herself, and you follow the boy that her clone loves. And you follow a policewoman and all of the dynamics of political and science. You follow all of the people that are secondary characters that are from another planets, for instance, and it's very, very interesting. It has a lot of dynamics of differences between the poor and the rich, the knowledgeable and the simple, not so knowledgeable people, the way that people feel frightened by what they do not know, even if it is technology or if it is a simple way of living. And it's very beautiful how what you see that is needed in this country is a balance between both things, but people hate the balance, and they're not trying to have a balance, they're just trying to have one point or the other. And it's so very interesting because you fell in love with the characters and you really want to know what happens to them. You want to be there by their side. You don't want anything bad to happen to them. You start hating some of the characters that you previously loved, and you start loving characters that you previously hate, and it's really amazing. I really love it. Of course, it has some trigger warnings, it has some problematic situations, but you have to consider that this was written in 1980, and for what it is, it has way much diversity than some of the books that are written now, and it's way better than some of those books, to be honest. So that's a book that I read in May and that I really loved, and I am really actually hyped to try and read more sci-fi. Slowly but surely, I will maybe read more sci-fi one day. But at least this opened the door for me for possibilities, because I never considered I would love sci-fi. And now I saw there a possibility of me loving sci-fi. So this book is great to start. It's not as hard as some of the other books. It doesn't have so many technological sayings. And it's pretty fun. And then the focus is on the characters, and it is fast-paced. So what more can you want? I mean, what more? So now for the book that I'm currently reading, and I'm actually currently on page 638, which is probably half of it. That is The Fiery Cross, which is the 5th volume of the Outlander series, written by Diana Gabaldon. So, you know me, you know that I love dark written books, horror, fantasy, adult books, also YA middle grade, but you know. I am not a person that reads something just because of the romance, but first of all, this is historical fiction, and I am weirdly attracted to Outlander for some reason. I don't know why. And second of all, I kind of enjoyed the character dynamics and the romance in Outlander. I don't know why. But I do. I mean, everyone has their guilty pleasures, and Outlander is mine. And I am currently here, if you can see it. So I'm sort of half the way through. This has 1,300 and something pages. I'm fine. This is fine. Everything's fine. But as I was saying, this was what I started reading in the end of the month of May. I haven't finished it, of course, but I'm planning on finishing it this week, next week, maybe, because, yeah, I really want to finish it so I can read more stuff. So yeah, this is what I'm reading right now. So that's going to be all for this video, and I'm sorry about this lighting because it's raining outside. Like, I cannot do anything else. I'm trying to film with light and I don't have light. Oh. So yeah, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you've read any of the books that I mentioned, please tell me in the comments down below. If you have not read them, read specifically The Snow Queen, because I feel like most of us fantasy readers will enjoy The Snow Queen as a stepping stone from fantasy to sci-fi, and it's really amazing. And if you know any of these books, just tell me down below. No spoilers for any of them for the people that haven't read them, and no spoilers for Outlander because I have not finished that. Please. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like or subscribe, and happy readings to all of you for the month of June. So bye bye.